So welcome back to the channel today. Adam from RC Action Australia. Big shout out to everyone who has liked and subscribed to the channel. Your support is very much appreciated. So today's video we are going to have a look at a recent off-camera restoration that I have done on the Tamiya Striker. But before we do that, just make sure you hit like and subscribe and follow my RC channel. That would be fantastic. And if you want to check out an awesome run video, because I tend to do a lot of unboxing and just sort of videos, building and whatnot. So I finally got a car out for a run video, the Baja Champ TL01B. Check the link above. That was a pretty cool first run out in my local park just across the road from where I live. So there'll be more of that coming on the channel as we build and start to run some of the cars. So back to today's video, I posted some pictures of this basically when I was painting the driver figure and a few restoration things on Facebook and Instagram. So I'll chuck those links down below in the description. Lots of people, lots of questions about, you know, where did I find parts, what parts did I source for it, and what were some of the upgrades that I did. So I thought I'd follow up on a video on the channel today for the Striker restoration that I did. And I think it's come up absolutely beautifully. As you can see there, the driver figure is quite nice, and the paint and the decals have come up beautifully. We've gone for a older sort of sport tune motor there, and I've kept it pretty old with the electronics and whatnot that I have put inside of it as well. And you would have also noticed I've done some oil damper upgrades front and rear, and the Tamiya Wild One wheels and tyres. So yeah, that's just a quick overhaul, but I want to run through exactly what I've done and exactly what I've used, because I've had a lot of people, as I said, asking me. So I thought I'd do the video, covers everything on how I turned the car into a nice older car that I did originally purchase. I did put a video of the original car a long time ago on the channel. Check the link above. That was just where I tidied it up and basically put some electrics in it. So that's this car. So check that one out if you want to know a little bit more about the base of this car and the condition it was in. So I've had this for a while. It's been sitting on the shelf behind me in a lot of videos, and I thought it was time that I stripped it back and repainted it and made a few little upgrades to it. So what did I use? So as I said, you've got to start with a good base car, because the chassis are prone for breaking, and I think the wings can usually get damaged. The original front damper stays can be cracked. So I set out to build something that was nice looking original, but obviously also had some modern upgrades, because driving this car prior with the friction shocks versus driving it now, this is an absolute beautiful car to drive, and it's chalk and cheese from what it originally was. So I'll pop the car down and I'll run through some of the things that I, was searching for, and what I purchased and where I'd found it, and how we get it looking to this state. So once I finished with all that, I'll flip to a little montage of some pictures, plus some just sort of light running outside on the driveway, just as the weather's been a bit odd, a bit wet, so I haven't been able to really get it over in the park. It's been a bit damp and a bit muddy. So I'll pop the car down and then we'll flick through what I used to restore it. First of all, I hopped on eBay and tried to buy everything that I could, and I came across a eBay seller, Fistful of Throttle RC. He seemed to have a lot of striker parts, and he did me an awesome deal on those. Basically said, look, do the deal on that and give me a shout out on your channel. So I believe he's got a channel himself, so go and check that out. That's awesome. And I managed to come up with the below parts, so I'll bring them up and show you. So I managed to come up with a new set of Grasshopper 2 wheels and tyres, but then I decided not to use those, and I went with the Wild One wheels and tyres because they were actually a hop-up item on the Sonic Fighter. So I figured, you know, bring this into a little bit more modern times, a little bit higher spec, and yeah, so I went with the Wild One wheels and tyres. Got those off RC Mart. They've got those in stock at the moment. They only got delivered a few days ago, so that's current stock. So you can head over there and pick those up. They weren't very expensive at all. Front tyres are a little bit expensive, but other than that, definitely worth the upgrade and definitely makes it a better driver. And so what else did I find? So I went through and I ended up with a few doubles of these parts trees, so it's good to have spares. The blue parts trees, front bumpers, battery holders, front lower arms. They're quite a, you know, if you are restoring one of these, the blue parts trees probably not that vital, other than if the wing has a little bit of damage on the edges, but I found this car had a lot of use on it before I restored it. The blue parts trees were fine. I more or less just freshened it up just for you know, a nice restoration look, but definitely lower arms, they're a must-have. The front bumper bar, these can be found on eBay pretty cheap. I think the whole front bumper bar and battery cover and the manual speed controller cover, they come as a parts tree. I think they're around about $30 plus a little bit of postage, and there's still some more of those on eBay. The other must-have part is the back lower swing arm suspension arms. I found that the car that I had some cracks where the suspension mounts, so that was a must-have part. And gearbox, nothing wrong with the gearbox that was on the car that I had, but just had a few scrapes and bumps where it had been used, so I threw a new gearbox on. And as I said, I purchased all these parts trees for the last probably 6 months while I had the car, and then I found the guy from Fistful of Throttle RC had the complete parts trees, so I just bought that as a bulk lot, hence why I've still got some spares. Then I came across another issue, which was going to be decals. So these are MCI Racing decals. Highly recommend them. That's what I used on the car, and my only issue was that the car originally had MCI Racing decals, but MCI, before they updated their colour palette, it used to be blue and then it used to be a light blue. Instead, the original colour scheme is this sort of teal colour. So MCI Racing, you can now change that light blue to the teal colour, so you can get on there and buy these reproduction decals. And as you can see, they look fantastic on the car and they went on beautifully as well. So that's what I did for decals. I think about $10 plus a bit of postage, so not very much to grab those. I wasn't overly sure about the chassis and the top chassis cover on the car, so I managed to get on, and out of Japan, I think it was just over $100. I got a brand new body set for a striker, so we'll open this one up and show you what comes in that. Pretty cool old little box as well, always nice to have. So in that, basically got the how to put the decals on and whatnot. Now I did pick this up quite cheap because it doesn't have the decal sheet in it. So there was another one online that they were wanting like nearly $300 for, and it had the decals, and this one was just over $100 and didn't have the decals. So I picked this one up, brand new lower tub and brand new top. So as you can see, I didn't end up using this. If I could go back, I probably would have painted this and used this, just because that one was a nightmare stripping off the paint that the previous person had painted it with. And I did have some issues where, as I said, I'm not sure what it was painted with, but it was absolutely awful. I used the Tamiya paint stripper. I had to do it multiple times. It was just, maybe it was like an oil-based paint or something that probably wasn't meant to be painted on the ABS plastic. It was a nightmare. So if I could go back, I probably would have just started with this. So I've still got that brand new body set, and that came with the driver figure as well. These are the wheels and tyres that were on the car originally. I do have another set of Grasshopper 2 wheels and tyres, but as I said, I chose to go with the Wild One wheels and tyres. And paint-wise, I started off with this Fine Surface Primer. That's a white primer from Tamiya. Then I went to the TS26, which is a pure white TS colour. Then I did 2 coats of each, 2 coats of primer, a light little sand. Then I did 2 coats of the TS26 pure white. Then I did a quick little sand with some 2000 grit, and then I went with the TS13 clear. Did probably 3 coats of that, and before the last coat I did a 1200 grit sand as well, and it came up quite nice, and I didn't bother polishing it because it was a nice smooth finish. So that's basically how I restored my striker, and I think it's come up absolutely fantastic. Now, I could do the tyre lettering like I have on some of the cars behind me, but I do find if you do use the car, it does come off and it does start to look a little bit, you know, bit old and a bit awful. So I've chosen not to do the tyre lettering on this one because I do want to get it out and do a proper run video for you guys on the channel. So that's today's video. Hopefully you basically, I've given you some insight in how to restore a striker, where to find some of the parts, what parts I used, and I guess the main thing out there for people would be if the chassis itself's broken, or finding the decals, because parts seem to be okay. You can still find the chassis, and basically the decals. I was contemplating buying a set of decals that were original ones. They were going to be like $150. Now, just to give you an idea of how much I have spent on the whole restoration, so if we look at paints, parts trees, wheels and tyres, plus the original cost of the car, so I picked the car up quite cheap, and I would say the car was around $200, wheels and tyres are probably around the $50, paint probably looking at about $30, and decals around about $10. All the parts trees, I think it was $100 and something. So I guess it's still come in, I think, somewhere around that $400 mark, which I think is quite good value, because I think these are a car that's going up in value. There's a lot of them for sale that are, you know, people have used and abused, whatnot. They're selling for $200–300, and there's ones new in box that are $750 up to $1,000. Plus, there's some that people have got on eBay that have been on eBay for a while. You know, they're new built, they haven't been painted, they've stuck the decals on. The plastic, as you can see, goes yellow. So if you really wanted to spend, you know, $600–700 on one of those, you're going to have to strip it back. You're going to have to paint it. Then you're going to have to find decals. So I think, you know, going with the MCI Racing decals is a lot better option, especially now that they have upgraded their colour palette. So I'll leave it there for today. Thanks for watching. As always, hit like and subscribe, and hopefully you enjoyed that little montage in the middle of the video. I'll put a few more as we exit. And up next, we will have the Nova Fox build, So yeah, keep an eye out for that one. That's an awesome car. I did a few custom touches on that as well with paint and driver, so that's going to be an awesome video to check out as well. So I'll catch you on the next video, guys. Bye.